found out sitting right here, I blocked. No, I heard that. So if you want to sit. No, I'll just, I'm not doing anything. I'll just move back.
Nothing but doors.
Well, have your name on it. I can take it.
Have my name on a lot of stuff that I've done. Exactly. Subpoenas.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Scott Norwin's crazy 14 causes why my unlawful detainer action is inappropriate based on quoted me a Supreme Court case, United States Supreme Court in 1925 to justify why we can't tell them to get rid of their property. Nuts.
Well, hold on, you didn't see, you haven't heard what happened once they got this event this coming Saturday, like what they.
Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny and the convention group, they're doing this, I'm gonna announce this, the military holiday gathering thing, and they said, oh, we'll be there, we met with the military. The base.
Welcome to the regular Tuesday, December 13th council meeting. It'll be an interesting agenda today because at one part, we're actually going to take a quick break to do one of the proclamations for the Guadalupe Bulldogs, and that'll be happening in the auditorium. Please excuse our rushing around. We couldn't afford 8 people in the room, so that's one of the reasons we're doing it over there in the auditorium. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Here.
Councilmember Costa Junior.
Here.
Councilmember Robles.
Present.
Mayor Julian.
Here. Will you please stand with me for the pledge of allegiance? Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item is agenda review. And what we're going to do, item 15 and 16, we're going to switch from 16, we're going to put 16 to 15, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other agenda review items? Seeing none, we'll go to item 4, certification of November 8th, 2022 general municipal election. Mr. Bodum.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, the City Council will adopt a resolution accepting the certification of the 2022 general municipal election by the county clerk recorder. And declare the results and follow standard procedures to reorganize the City Council. The Cook County Clerk certified the results of the November 8th, 2022 election on December 7th, 2022. The certified election results confirm that the mayor, Ursula Julian, received 1,025 votes. For City Council, Christina Hernandez received 893 votes. Eugene Costa Jr. received 580 votes, and Anna Marie Machad for City Treasurer received 995 votes. The transient occupancy tax measure Z that called for moving from a 6 to a 10% did not pass. There were 646 no votes and 583 yes votes. So without further ado, for the resolution, staff recommends that you approve and accept the certification of the general election.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 2022-106?
A motion to approve resolution 20-06.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Aye.
Councilmember Costa Junior.
Aye.
Councilmember Robles.
Aye.
Mayor Julian.
All right, it passed. Congratulations to those. Next item is proclamation to Liliana Cardenas. And sad to see her go, but she's going on to bigger and better things, and she's not going very far. Proclamation expressing appreciation to Liliana Cardenas for her service as council member of the city of Guadalupe. Whereas the city council of the city of Guadalupe is responsible for exercising and performing all powers, privileges, and duties vested in or imposed upon it by the general law and municipal code. And whereas Liliana Cardenas was elected to serve as a council member in December 2018. And whereas Councilmember Cardenas has dedicated 4 years to the city, all the while influencing growth and development in Guadalupe through her commitment to her constituents and the community as a whole. And whereas Liliana Cardenas has brought respect, honor, and integrity to the city of Guadalupe and various committees and commissions by leading by example, exhibiting the highest level of ethics, and maintaining a superior moral character. And whereas Councilmember Cardenas has welcomed monolingual Spanish speakers when they have addressed council members and staff in their native language, and she has made it a priority to translate in English and Spanish the subject matter brought before the council to ensure that their concerns are heard and addressed. And whereas that level of commitment and kind service brought to Guadalupe by Liliana Cardenas will forever be the benchmark for future efforts to grow and sustain a solid city financial base, strong conservative and balanced budget, and a culture of service that will allow the city not only to prepare for the future, but to fully embrace the future. Whereas the city of Guadalupe has benefited from Liliana Cardenas' commitment of personal time, energy, knowledge, and strength in numerous matters, and by her willingness to commit to difficult decisions which were in the best interest of the city. Now therefore be it resolved by the virtue of authority vested in me as mayor and on behalf of the city of Guadalupe, I take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation and recognition to Liliana Cardenas for her dedication, commitment, and value contribution while serving our city. There's a little plaque which will hang in the front room or in the
Yeah.
kitchen. Liliana Cardenas, in recognition and appreciation of your dedicated years of service as council member to the city of Guadalupe, November 2018 to December 2022. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. All right, so this is very bittersweet. I have truly enjoyed my time here, serving on the city council. So it has been an honor to have the opportunity to serve the community of Guadalupe as a city council member. I thank the residents of Guadalupe for their trust in me these 4 years, and I hope to have represented you well. This is a group effort, and in these 4 years as council, along with staff, we have encountered many challenges and celebrated many accomplishments. Not to mention, we went through a pandemic together. So we upgraded our parks, our downtown, our internal processes, and much more. I believe in 2019, we passed about 400 resolutions or something like that. We passed several. So we really hit the ground running. I must also mention that the Guadalupe city has the best streets in the county, as well as the best tobacco ordinance. And I will also be taking some great wins, like renovating our Lever Park. So I look forward to our next council, everything that our staff will be doing. I'm excited for all our next projects like the Royal Theater and everything. So thank you so much for this opportunity to serve you all. And I will see you soon. This is not a goodbye. I will be sitting on the other side now. So thank you.
She didn't talk much about herself, and she never does. She actually, when she was a little kid, helped build her home in Guadalupe. And she probably couldn't dig a hole or anything, but she helped feed the family while they were building a home in Guadalupe. She also is one of the few people here that have actually lived in Brazil for a little bit. People don't know that. And she also was the president of the first Guadalupe Lions Club. That's still active, and she's the president of that group. So I know that going through her education, she's a professional person in the job that she does, and she's actually completed her master's degree in business administration. She is an example of what Guadalupe is about. Given the opportunity to grow, given the opportunity for education, she sets a tone for a lot of folks that reside in Guadalupe, and she's an example of what can happen here to all of our residents. So we appreciate your time here. Okay, not quite swearing in, item 7. Swearing in of newly elected officials. City clerk will administer the oath of office to re-elected mayor, myself, re-elected council member Eugene Costa Jr., re-elected city treasurer Anna Marie Santilli Machad, elected council member Christina Hernandez. Where do you want us to? Where's Christina? Come back.
Christina,
Go down there.
Gotta hold on for it. Yeah,
I'll wait for you all.
okay, you have to.
okay, what I'm gonna do is, read. What I have to do when I say I, and then you give the name, you give it individually, and then later on repeat as a group.
Okay.
When I go through them. Okay, this is the oath of office, raise your right hand, please. I, please say your name.
Anna Marie something on the shot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Christina Hernandez. Anna Marie something on the shot.
Eugene Costa Jr.
Ariston Julian.
You solemnly swear or affirm
And affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
true faith and allegiance
will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California.
And I take this obligation freely,
And I take this obligation freely
without mental reservation
without mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion.
And I will faithfully
And I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, I need your signature.
Congratulations, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, sign something.
Again.
Thank you, Amelia.
Thank you.
Do you want to say it?
Lily, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
No.
Okay.
4 years.
Thank you, parents.
Yes, I will. Thank you. Do you need this binder?
And the middle seat will be available.
Congratulations.
The next item is that if Eugene wants to say anything, if Anna Marie wants to say anything. I don't want to say anything, I'll say enough tonight. But thank you for the vote for all of us here. So Gene, are you?
Yes, I just want to say thank you to the citizens who re-elected me in. I hope I can continue on. With these last 4 years, we did a lot of good stuff, and this next 4, we can keep it rolling the same way. Thank you.
Anna Marie?
I just want to thank the citizens of Guadalupe that still show trust in me to be able to be their city treasurer. Thank you.
And I will basically, this will be, the plan is for this will be my last 2 years. So get ready for in a couple of years for the mayor's position, I will do all I can to make sure that everybody moves forward. And Christina. Yes, Christina, there you go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Hernandez, and I'm very grateful to be sitting here with you all. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Guadalupe, first generation Latina. My grandfather moved to the city of Guadalupe to find opportunities for his children, his grandchildren, to have the opportunity for a better tomorrow. I have worked in nonprofits for the last 10 years. Being a member of our community and local organization allows me to know where my heart and passion is. It allows me as a council member to know the needs of my community as a community, which is why I chose to serve in this capacity. I'm also a mother, daughter, sister, and it's important that we help create a civic connection, build trust, and continue to help connect adults and youth to the democratic experience. Our youth are our leaders of tomorrow, and I hope that we can continue to plant that seed. I hold a great passion to bring community members and organizations together and help establish equity for all. I look forward to serving the city and as the next council member.
Right. Next agenda item is a proclamation for Lorena Zarate, our finance director. And why don't you come on up here? Yeah, what's that?
You skipped
Did
one.
I skip nine? Who did I skip?
Pro tem.
Oh,
Freudian slip.
I'm sorry. I'm by virtue of his tenure in the city council, I will ask that Gino Costa be appointed the mayor pro tem. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, Lorena.
Right. You got a mic?
Mike?
Oh, here.
Okay, hang on. This is a proclamation expressing appreciation to Lorena Zarate for 3 years of dedicated employment and service to the city of Guadalupe. Whereas Lorena Zarate was hired in November 2019 as finance director and served in that position for 3 years. And whereas during those years, Lorena has diligently served the city and resident and citizens of Guadalupe and has constantly exhibited her hard work, exemplary customer service, the highest professional expertise, and deep personal devotion. Whereas Lorena did an excellent job in overseeing the functions of accounting, compliance, and financial reporting for the city and coordinated the fiscal year's budgets, audits, and comprehensive annual reports, the state controller's reports, special funds, and year-end closing of the general ledger. And whereas Lorena has displayed exceptional professional ability as finance director during her tenure with the city of Guadalupe, she has led the finance department through many changes and developments such as the pandemic. Her tireless dedication, generosity, and spirit, and extraordinary work ethic have brought stability to the department's financial operation. Whereas the city of Guadalupe has benefited from Lorena Zarate's commitment of personal time, knowledge, diligence, expertise in various matters, and her willingness to make improvements to the accounting system that are in the city's best interest. Now therefore be it resolved by virtue of the authority invested in me as mayor on behalf of the city council of the city of Guadalupe, I take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation and recognition to Lorena Zarate for her dedication, commitment, and valued contribution while serving our city. Thank you. Yeah.
I just want to say,
Thank you so much for the opportunity, for the support and encouragement. I really appreciate this moment. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And we have Mr. Peralt, Mr. Peralt, who will be not substituting, but will be handed the baton for a little bit until we find a permanent finance director. So thank you, Lorena. And thank you, Bob. Thank you. Our next item is, we're going to take a real quick break and go to the auditorium for the proclamation for the Bulldogs and the Bulldogs cheer team. So here's So we'll take a about 5 or 6 minute break, probably less longer than that, but we'll be back.
Put the instant coffee in there.
You just started.
Look at it over there. See what I saw.
You can go for that right now. Whatever's.
Thank you for allowing us to break a little bit. It was probably 50, 60 people in the auditorium, so that was good. And we all went by the book as our.
You did well.
Okay, thank you. Item 11 is community participation. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on a topic that's not on the agenda? Have we received any written correspondence, phone correspondence?
No. No, sir.
Okay, so we'll go to item 12. And that's the consent calendar. And the following items are presented to the city council approval without discussion as a single agenda item. Is there a council person that wishes to pull an item? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or G? Go to left. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
All motion to approve the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes, thank you. Next item is administrator report, information only, Mr. Bodo.
Thank you, Mayor and council, staff and public. I just wanted to let you know that the city offices due to the holidays will be closed on December 23rd, December 26th, December 27th, December 30th, and January 2nd. I also have an extensive, more than I would like to read here. I was thinking about reading it, but I think looking at our agenda, a recreation and parks update on behalf of Hannah. She's absent. Would you like me to go over some of this, or would you prefer me to email you a copy of
Hit the highlights, bullet points.
Yeah, okay, so there's facilities and parks, Leroy Park, irrigation line was installed in the back area of the park to prevent grass from dying. As an irrigation line was not in the original plan. Janitorial city maintenance worker checks the outdoor restrooms and outdoor park trash cans every morning. Landscaping, Cassie is currently still contracted by the city to take care of turf maintenance. City maintenance worker handles bed management. Air quality monitors were installed throughout the city, including at 2 city locations, Jack O'Connell Park and Leroy Park. Access gates installed to prevent vandalism and loitering at the park. Gates are opened every morning at 7:30 a.m. and are closed at approximately 4:30 p.m. Basic hand soap dispensers were ordered to replace the hand soap dispensers that are currently located in the outdoor restrooms, as the current dispensers are not adequate for the need. Security cameras were installed by public safety and cover the outdoor portion of the park and building at Jack O'Connell Park. Landscaping, Cassie is currently still contracted by the city to take care of turf maintenance. City maintenance worker handles bed management around the playgrounds. Restrooms are checked every business day at 7:30 a.m. And again, air quality monitors installed near the barbecue area. There's a large gopher presence in the park, as you probably know. The department is currently working on cost-efficient ways to mitigate this issue. The softball field was sprayed for weeds to begin preparing for the upcoming summer softball season. Currently procuring quotes for the installation of an access gate at the O'Connell parking lot. Large branches at the park were falling down due to the storm. Maintenance quickly removed those hanging branches to ensure the safety of anyone who goes to the park. Senior center, landscaping. City maintenance worker handles all landscaping. The senior center is currently being run by Los Amigos de Guadalupe. However, senior center committee has been formed so that the committee can ensure that the center is being fully utilized for seniors in the community and others. New kitchen equipment is being purchased for the center using CB1, CB2, CB3 monies. At the Vets Hall undergoes janitorial and landscaping once a week and sometimes more often depending on use. Floodlights near the steps were replaced to ensure the safety of all people going to the hall. City Hall landscaping. City maintenance workers handle all landscaping at City Hall once a week. Janitorial, city maintenance workers handles all janitorial for city halls, including the upkeep of city offices, public restrooms, and city staff restrooms. All of these duties are completed once a week. The hallway is swept and mopped once a month. It's actually been more because I'm pushing for that as on a needed basis. All city hall trash is checked every Monday and Friday. Cleaning of City Hall was postponed due to weather concerns. Leaks in the hall are currently being recorded. The auditorium is currently being utilized by McKinsey Junior High for basketball. The auditorium is being dust mopped and mopped once a week by city staff. The auditorium also continues to be used for Wednesday volleyball drop-in and Friday basketball drop-in with great audience attendance. There are no city hall private event rentals for the remainder of the year. Purchases, the city purchased a 2018 Chevy Chevrolet Colorado. The department purchased a Chevy Colorado to have ready for the facility's lead position. City decals were ordered around the city logo. There will also be lettering placed on the truck to indicate it as a recreation parks department vehicle. Gas motor mower. The department manager is currently receiving quotes for a gas mower. Our current electric mower does not stay charged long enough to complete even the smaller pocket parks, as the gas mower will allow maintenance staff to complete all of the maintenance more quickly and efficiently. Events fast. Family night. Family night was held on Friday, December 9th at 6 p.m. The movie Polar Express was played while hot chocolate and popcorn were served. Additionally, kids were able to decorate sugar cookies during the movie. Holiday home decorating contest judging. The Recreation Parks Commission, along with the Recreation Services Manager, met on Monday, December 12th at 5 p.m. to judge all submitted applications for the holiday home decorating contest. Upcoming armed forces that maybe the chief would touch on will be coming forward to the vets on Saturday. And the personnel from Vandenborg Space Force will be there. The idea is to provide a fun environment for those that are not able to be home for the holidays. This event will be held again at Vets Park Saturday from 1 to 4 on the 17th. 3B3 basketball tournament. As the recreation department has struggled with getting other adult leagues going, the idea is to start off with a one-day tournament event to see how the turnout is. Father-daughter dance, a date has not been established for the event yet. However, the department is currently brainstorming ideas for this event. Bingo night, dates have not been set, but the department is brainstorming again ideas on how to hold a regular bingo night. And that ends this report.
Thank you. Somewhere I see there was a fire at O'Connell Park Restaurant. You know anything about that?
Yeah, I heard that, but Chief, do you have anything on that?
Okay.
I think it was a grass. I understand.
In the bathroom?
Oh.
What kind of grass?
I also.
It's cheap thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Well, you gave me out.
Next item is Director of Public Safety and Chief Cat.
Go real quick. First of all, we don't have any dispensaries, so I doubt that type of grass.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Yeah. Only three quick things. We do have the cameras up at Leroy Park on the outside, and we're installing the ones at O'Connell Park. Two is I am proud to announce that as part of the California Police Chiefs Association, I've been appointed by the board to be the representative for the state of California Police Chiefs Association to be with the League of Cities Revenue and Taxation Committee. So be able to look at how those things will affect not only police chiefs throughout the state, but for Guadalupe also. And again, as Todd stated, this Saturday, we'd like to have our council and anyone else who'd like to come and volunteer. We're working on improving our partnership with Vandenberg Space for Space. This 17th, we're going to have what's called the City of Guadalupe Armed Services Holiday Gathering. We'll have between 30 and 40 young airmen and airwomen who have no place to go for the holidays. They can't go home. And this is sometimes their first leave. We're inviting them to the City of Guadalupe to partake of our city and hopefully to be coming back and spend some of their money. I appreciate our new council person. She reached out, the Dune Center. They're going to assist us with dessert, and they're going to be open to do tours. We'll be working hopefully with the museum to be open. We'll be at the vet center. We've had commitments and from our chef, the micro business there at the senior center. He is going to cook. Marcus, and he has reached out. And at first we were going to have lasagna, but he has put together, he's going to barbecue ribs out there and beans, and he's got donations. The vets or the Vietnam Veterans Group has donated a barbecuer and wood so that we have out there. The fire department has a contact. They've be able to donate soda and water. So this and the rec department here working with Hannah. We have the TVs that are hooked up and games. So this is something that we're looking hopefully to do on a regular basis. And the commanding officer of Vandenberg has committed to come. So we, like our mayor, we have something to be able to present to them. So this is opening up a lot of partnerships and things that we may be able to get from Vandenberg also. So this is really going to be huge. So I think from Todd's office and our finance and HR and public works, everyone has somehow assisted to kind of make this thing happen. And that's my report, unless there's any questions.
What time again is that?
This will be from 1 to 4
On Saturday.
on this coming Saturday at the best.
Great, it sounds like we're putting a lot of people together to make it happen, so.
Yes, sir. A lot of volunteers came together.
Great. Okay, we'll go to item 15 now is public hearing to consider notice of exemption under CEQA.
Mr. Mayor,
16.
yeah, you, sorry,
Switch.
you switched it earlier.
Yeah, 16.
I know I switched.
Oh,
Did I say I moved it to 15?
I see. Okay.
I'm
I
quick sometimes.
apologize. I apologize, Mr. Mayor. I thought you were actually calling the old number 15 item that you're calling, you switched it, so
Mr. Scott,
sorry.
we're good.
I wouldn't recuse myself on this, matter number 15, the, might be a conflict of interest since, he is my new landlord. Thank you, Mayor.
Is this your presentation, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a little
Yes, I bring it up right now.
much appreciated. Yeah, I'll try to be quick. Yeah, I got it. All right, thanks again, Mayor and City Council. Good evening, staff. Good evening, members of the public. The project is the 849 Pioneer Street Apartment Project, little 8-unit apartment project. Project is a design review permit and a conditional use permit both that allows an 8-unit apartment project on a 0.2 acre property in the GC General Commercial Zoning District. The municipal code requires a conditional use permit for any residential project in the GC General Commercial Zoning District that's not associated with commercial or permitted use on the ground floor or lower floor. It also requires a design review for any multifamily project in excess of 3 units. So conditional use permit and a design review. Project site 849 Pioneer Street, kind of on the bend of Pioneer Street. We'll talk about it, surrounded kind of pretty much by the county on 3 sides. But again, there's an existing home and a detached garage that has been demolished and removed to accommodate the project. High density apartments across Pioneer Street to the east there, residential uses to the north. That's the project, rectangular project site. 4 buildings. The top building, building A, is all connected to the stairway between the 2 apartments, building A. Below that, on the other side of the driveway, building B, and C and D on the westerly end. Again, 4 apartment units. Buildings A and B are apartments over parking, so there's a ground floor carports, and the apartment units again are above. Floor plans for A and B. One is a 2-bedroom unit, the other is a 3-bedroom unit. You can see the decks that provide the open space on the upper portion of the slide. Buildings B and C are 2-story apartments, ground floor unit, and again, an upper floor unit. Again, they're identical in appearance. And those again, in this case, One is that the ground floor units are 3-bedroom units and the upper floor units are 2-bedroom units. The only deficiency is in the decks. We considered it minor. All the decks, the required open space meet the municipal code. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but they're connected by a stairway. In a perfect world, we would have had decks that were isolated from the stairway, meaning, when you have visitors, the mailman comes, it kind of interrupts the open space. But again, that's a slight deficiency, but again, ground floor 3-bedroom unit, upper floor 2-bedroom unit. And again, that's the in buildings B and C. We had them add a little porch cover just to protect the residents in the rain and just add a little bit more interest to the building. See a little bit of articulation there. So again, units, the 2-story units B and C. Landscape, we looked at the code and landscape coverage is pretty good. You can see substantial landscaping along the street, the Pioneer Street frontage. Around, there's some parking area, the parking lot spaces in the front, we'll talk about in a moment. And again, a lot of landscaping between the buildings A and B and C and D in the back. The municipal code as a preference in a perfect world, we would not put parking spaces in the front. Typically, we prefer building, living area or buildings at the front of a site as opposed to parking. But the municipal code does allow it through the design review. We do the analysis. In this case, we figured the parking works. It helps the project. Obviously, they need to meet parking. And what the designer did is they substantially landscaped the area. You can see the property line. Part of the landscaping is in the parkway. That landscaping, the final plant material selection will be to the satisfaction of the city engineer. But again, the front setback area parking is substantially landscaped, and we believe in this case, to get our unit yield and big units, we believe it all works out. So the landscape, and again, the municipal code, we'll talk about that again in a second, requires a minimum 10% landscape coverage. They've got about 20% coverage. And also in the case of this shows the buildings in the back C and D, they have private yards where all the rest of the units have decks to provide the open space. Those 2 units are afforded the green in the back. So there's a perspective view from a Pioneer Street. Overall, we believe the building is pretty good. Again, the front yard parking will be screened, more substantial landscaping and some low walls. One of the things we did look at again is just a unique situation, surrounded on 3 sides by county, ag land to the west, southwest, northwest, and then that little green strip is land in the county by another property owner. Kind of unique situation. We had a little bit of concern about that. Again, the site plan. When I see that strip, I think historically the people who lived in the house maintain that strip. You can see whoever lived there in the past apparently kept their equipment, cars, whatever. But they're the ones who apparently mowed it and all that kind of stuff, took care of it. Well, now that they're gone, once we complete the project will be walled to protect it from the ag. I think that little strip will be isolated. We're still trying to figure out how we can approach that. I have looked at assessor rolls to see if I can find the owner of that strip. Again, that's that property that next to the 91, it's parcel number 11 there. You can see the strip there. Be nice if we could reach out and maybe get him, the owner, to pick up the maintenance that the former occupant used to carry on. Anyway, that's just something we're looking at. It's a unique situation, and we'll continue to pursue that. Other than that, in terms of municipal code conformance, the project does meet the municipal code standard in terms of density, and the code citations are there. If you may recall, only recently the general plan was changed. The site, even though it's still zoned commercial until rezonings are initiated, it is designated by the general plan as high density residential. So the project does meet the general plan for the density for the project. Building setbacks are met. Front yard 20 feet is a minimum. Rear 15 feet, side 5. All those setbacks are met. Private yards, as I talked about, it substantially conforms. We give them a 9 out of 10. The square footages are met for private yards. It's just that we got stairway approaches a couple of them. Landscape, again,
there's several provisions in the landscape code, and the project meets all of them, and such as, again, landscape coverage, 10% required, 20% provided. Type and selection of plant material, maintenance, and those kinds of things in landscaping, all those will be met as the project proceeds. Walls, in this case, given the agriculture interface on 3 sides, we will have them do walls instead of fences, and to better protect 6-foot walls around the west and southwest sides of the property, and a low wall in the front to screen the parking area. Parking, again, 16 parking spaces are required for the 8 units. 16 spaces are provided. We talked about the front yard setback parking, which will be screened, and access currently substantially conforms. Fire department requires a 20-foot driveway. Right now, it's 19 feet. At the next stage of the building permit stage, they'll widen it to 20 feet. So that's a condition of the project. There's plenty of room down there on the bottom side. We'll just have to take a little bit out of our landscaping, but we'll widen the driveway, and with that, the project will conform to applicable zoning code standards. So in summary, the project supports the general plan objectives, reuse and underutilized property locations where city services are already in place, infrastructure is in place. The project will add 8 new multifamily housing units in close proximity to public transit in the downtown area. As designed, we believe the project is expected to provide a high-quality living environment for residents, and it should be a good addition to the neighborhood. In terms of environmental review, the project meets Class 32 exemption, reuse of an existing property in city limits. It's consistent with the high-density residential general plan designation. It's a small site, less than 5 acres, and no sensitive wildlife habitat in the area. So with that, it is recommended, we recommend that the city council adopt resolution 2022-108 to approve design review permit 2022-056 DR, conditional use permit 2022-066 CUP, and environmental notice of exemption for the 849 Pioneer Street apartment, 8-unit apartment project. That would conclude staff's presentation. We're available for questions. I don't see the applicant here, so.
Okay, before we open it to public, is it from the council? Is there any questions of staff? And Nicholas. Please. Let's see the time, that's the right time now?
6:53.
Okay, at 6:53, we'll open it up to public, open up the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Mr. Larry.
I know this is a little uncommon, but part of my presentation tonight on the ADUs discusses the fact that the state is allowing now a number of new uses within multifamily property. They can use like convert laundry rooms and boiler rooms, things that weren't used for occupancies, they can convert those. And one of the things in that list is garages. And we had a problem earlier in the year when what's that street? The guy from Nevada that's wanting to develop open space. You remember his name?
Snowy Plover.
Snowy Plover. They came in with their plans when they're gonna do a general plan amendment there. And it just happened that the architect showed too much on his plans for the apartments. And he actually showed how they were gonna convert after they got approval for the apartments with under parking like they have here. They were gonna convert those to ADUs. And under the state regulations, once you convert a parking space, you don't have to find new parking for that. It could be out on the street, it could be wherever. So knowing that these are now parked according to the new standards, at least one covered space and one uncovered space per unit. we're fixing the parking situation as this new construction comes in. But I'm concerned that somewhere down the line, the owner may say, hey, I'll take advantage of that new rule and I'll convert some of these garages or carports into ADUs. And so my recommendation would be that you add a condition, if there isn't one already, that would indicate that the owner agrees that in order to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, the finding that you have to have for approval of this project, that they not convert those parking spaces. I don't know if you got that in there or not.
We don't, but it's an excellent point.
Okay,
It's a
so
good
anyway,
point.
that, I wanted you to be.
So you're recommending that be put in there?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Thank you.
All right, no public comment? And what's the time now?
6:56.
Okay, we'll close it to public comment. Back to the council. Any questions? Staff, questions? Thank you for the presentation. Is there?
Bill, I had one question.
Oh.
It's oh, the applicant is here, Mr. Edwards.
Yes, please.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I just had one question on the consent item. Number 57 was about the fire department. If you'd like to read that comment.
On the consent?
The
Condition of approval?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the condition of approval says that. I have to read it, but it's about.
We'll get a binder.
Paying for equipment for the fire department as they deem necessary. It's kind of open-ended. So I'm not really sure. Maybe that could be explained to me.
You said under the consent calendar, right?
No, it's under. He meant the condition of approval.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's just the way they wrote it, but I
What number was it?
want to say it's 57 almost.
Okay.
57.
I can comment.
Please.
That is standard language that we include in all new developments. It's concerning impact fees. And currently, we do not have a ordinance. We are going through that process, but we put that on on all new applications to as far as being able to pay for any new additional fire and public safety requirements that this new building or piece of that's going to be added to the city. We usually put that into the language, but we are still working on the impact fee study right now.
Mr. Mayor, if I could comment on that, I didn't see that condition prior to this. There's a lot of and as a legal, I'm not comfortable. I'm sympathetic with Mr. Edwards that as deemed necessary, it does not cut it. It would have to be as justified by certain facts or something, and maybe Mr. Scott or staff can come up with some language. As deemed necessary would it's just too. Mr. Edwards is right. It's too vague. It needs to be grounded in and like I said, if I had realized that, I could have come up with some language based on other conditions or other past practice in the city, like with the Pasadena development. But Chief's correct that we can do that because we don't have a program that has set fees. But we can't just say as deemed necessary, we have to justify it based on the impact of the project, so we would need some basic, some metric, thank you, Todd, some metric to justify that these 8 units will cause, an increase of service by such amount, and it'll cost this much, and that's the fee. So, I'm not sure what to do at this point, because that language is, subject to a legal challenge, and I don't know if we have that number for Mr. Edwards right now. So.
Chief.
Can I ask, is it to some kind of specification? Isn't there, you saying that those specifications are not available yet?
Use the same language when they did the Escalante. And the chief negotiated with the county that was doing that project. And that's how we came with Fund 76. They had a mutual agreement to provide the city with some costs because of what that area would utilize. We have put that language in just in case if the new person wants to negotiate with us. But we do not have an actual ordinance and we're still working on the impact fee. So it's just language that we've always included. If the person was willing to speak with us and maybe negotiate something for public service, we'd be willing to talk. Other than that, it's not enforceable.
I think you're speaking to us right now, so. Your recommendation, Phil, is to eliminate that?
No, to modify the language. Like I said, Mr. Apple and I were just talking that, he was suggesting some language that would be delayed until the study was completed. I think what we might do is perhaps the consultant that was retained to do the study might be able to weigh in on this as a special added cost to the study to get us an answer sooner, because I don't think the study will be ready for a while. So I would say instead of as deemed necessary, the applicant shall negotiate with and pay the negotiate with the city and pay the required public safety fee to the city of Guadalupe, as determined. No, I'm trying to think as no, we're not going to have it in time for the study.
No.
But as the applicant shall pay the required public or negotiate with the city and pay the required public safety fee as based on it's determined by the project's impact to public safety. I know, I wish we could get something a little tighter, but at least,
I know it's last minute.
Yeah.
But
no, and I think your point's valid, and I appreciate you bringing it up. I'd rather deal with it now. But we do have a consultant that's been retained.
As long as it's duly noted, I'm good with what, we can work this out. I just didn't want it to be overwhelming.
Right. Well, yeah, and
My new fire truck.
yeah, well, actually, we need 3 of them,
Open checkbook.
yeah, no, that's a good point. So I don't have language, and Bill's actually done 2 in a row. So maybe while you continue to discuss the project, I can work on something.
Or continue this item till after my item, and then that'll give you a little extra time to write up something.
If that's okay with everyone.
Should get back to number 16.
Hey, we're to its original form. Well, what's your, I just need a few minutes to come up with some language along the lines, so.
It seems like the applicant is favorable in terms of negotiations and working things out.
Just let me,
Perhaps it's tied to a particular, like so much per square foot, or is it just?
Yeah,
something like that.
it would be,
Like
yeah,
a school fee.
it would well be like an
Santa Maria
impact
has
fee.
the same thing.
Like in, for example, the chief just mentioned in Santa Maria, they have done a study. They've looked at all the impacts of future development. We don't have that ready, so we'll have to do something that's along those lines, the same basic formula, but I don't know what it would be. That's not my expertise, so I was going to leave it a little general. But it won't require you to pay it, it'll require you to negotiate with and pay, but the project won't go forward until the negotiation's complete. Is that agreeable? You can always come back and
Is it a
modify.
condition of, if it's a condition of final approval, typically some of these conditions are conditioned when the building is getting ready to be final and
Correct.
that's more doable than stopping the project now completely. It would be-
Could it be based on occupancy? Yeah, it would be, we wouldn't stop, it would be based on the issuance of the certificate of occupancy, yeah.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Okay, all right.
You gain on it?
Okay. All right. Are you finished discussing the project?
I'm waiting on you.
Okay, I guess you are, all right. I'll work quickly, apologize.
No, thank you.
And I guess, mayor and council, while Bill works on that. I think we also had another condition, no garage conversions to ADUs, and, I guess the language might be something to the effect of, all required parking shall be maintained for the life of the project, at no time shall any required parking be converted to an ADU.
But as Mr. Apple said, it would have to be tied to a finding that to be consistent with the neighborhood, the compatibility with the neighborhood, because that's already tight with park area. Maybe you could help with that language, Larry, while I'm working on this.
So we're working on both.
So two of them.
You guys are skills there.
Okay, all right,
I hate to move on because I know that's have to come back and.
okay. All right, I'm struggling with that one part. As determined by qualified engineer.
Bob's was
something. Look at this guy.
The
Okay,
applicant will pay a fee to benefit public safety based on an identifiable impact
okay,
of
perfect.
the project on fire service at the time of issuance of certificate of occupancy.
I think I'll be, Mr. Peralta is going to take my place here because he came up with some good language, so I'm just going to leave. All right. So, okay, public safety. Okay, so we have some language to include.
Okay.
Mr. Peralta came up with some language that works for me. It says the project applicant shall pay a fee to benefit public safety based on an identifiable impact of the project. The project based on an identifiable impact of the project on public safety.
So we're just revising 57.
Yes. At the time of issuance of the certificate of occupancy. Is that agreeable to the applicant? Is that also agreeable to you, Chief?
Read it one more time.
Yes. The project applicant shall pay a fee to benefit public safety based on an identifiable impact. I should say, let's say identifiable impacts, because there's going to probably be more than one. Of the project on public safety at the time of issuance of a certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
I see a nod.
Yeah, they're not.
Okay, we got that.
To be determined.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And this is the other one.
So,
And then, go ahead.
and so the other one, no conversion of garages shall be permitted for development of ADUs in order to retain compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood.
Garage or carports, we should add.
Okay.
Roger carports, one more time, or?
Yeah, say it again, Bill.
No conversion of garages or carports shall be permitted
Two ADUs. Shall be permitted.
for development of
Oh,
ADU
okay,
in order to retain compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood.
okay. We have a number that city council can, no, city council
we can put it at
condition.
the end.
Okay, put it at the end. All right.
All right. We're looking at adopt resolution number 2022-108, approving design review 2022-156-DR, conditional use permit 2022-066 CUP and a CEQA notice of exemption for the 849 Pioneer Street apartments with agreed upon amendments or revisions. Will that work?
Yes,
So is there a council person that would adopt the resolution as stated? Or all that language?
I'll adopt resolution 2022-108. Approving design review 2022-056-DR. Conditional use permit 2022-066 CPU. And the CEQA sequel notice of exemption for the 849 Pioneer Street apartment project with agreed upon amendments.
That's a motion. There's a second. Any discussion? We're gonna have a roll call here. City.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Aye.
Okay, now let's just one no.
Councilmember Costa Junior.
Aye.
Mayor Gilliam.
All right, all ayes, resolution passes. Thank you, everyone, for that, sweat equity. Now we go to the next item, which is public hearings to consider amendments and accessory dwelling unit ADU ordinance. Chapter 18-53 or 25-3 and approve notice of exemption under SEQA. Larry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members.
Well, let's wait till our esteemed council member returns. Is it cold out there? It's cold out there. Thank you.
Sure.
Good.
This isn't gonna be too long. I just wanted, I know you've read the staff report already, so I'm gonna try to just summarize it quickly, so you can get moving to your other items. The state went and made changes again to the ADU law. The governor signed 2 bills in September. And we were given until January 1st to have them codified in our own ordinance. That can't happen because we're only having 1 meeting this month. Excuse me. And so I contacted the state and asked if we might be able to get a waiver of the January 1st date. And they said, absolutely, we're doing, they can see we're doing everything we can to try to make this thing get into effect. So we've had a number of changes since I've been here. Just before I started with the city, Rincon had put through a change, I think in 2017. And in January of, or no, they did theirs in 16, and then January 17, the laws changed again. And so it threw that last one out. So we've been just playing catch up all along, but staying on top of things. And this last September now, we got 2 more bills that were passed, and that required us to come back to council. The biggest one that we're having to work on and want to focus on tonight is the height discussion. Right now, Well, back when we first started, when we were told we had to have an ADU ordinance, we were concerned with compatibility with surrounding neighborhoods. And so we came up with a height of 16 feet to be the maximum, which would prevent getting a second story, because when you have something big and bulky like that in someone's backyard, it's going to overlook 2 or 3 other yards and stuff, and just wasn't a good idea. So we kept our regulations at 16 feet. Well, now the state's coming out and saying, well, you have to raise it to 18 feet. But they said you had to meet a certain test, and that test was requiring that the project was within a half mile of a major transit stop or a high quality transit corridor. And so we have added definitions for both of those. And I can just tell you what we have in Guadalupe is not either of those. We have bus stops and we have a train station. So based on the wording that the state has had for requiring one of those two to be met, to be able to go up to 18 feet, we're not going to have to do that. We can stick with 16. There was also a provision that said you could go from 18 to 20 if you're trying to match the pitch of the roof of the existing house, which made sense. But since those two tests cannot be made, or either of them cannot be made, for single family homes, we're going to still stay at 16 feet. When you move into multifamily homes, if you have multifamily zoning, you've got multi-story on the property, then the new regulation says you can go up to 25 feet. So that means you really can have a 2-story ADU on the property. And as you may recall from reading through the ordinance before, anyone that has multifamily on their property is entitled to 2 detached ADUs or attached ADUs, in addition to up to 25% of the units on site where you can find that extra space, converting a laundry room or things like that on the property. So there are a lot of provisions that are allowing for more units now in multifamily. But the important thing is that at least in multifamily, if they already have a 2-story, that when they go to add their ADUs, they can have either up to 25 feet or whatever the maximum height is for the zone, whichever is the lower of those two. So in R3, I think it's 35 feet. That would then say they could go up to 25 feet. So that's how the new regs are working on that. Let me see what else. And then also, if you're in a multi-family zoning with a multi-unit 2-story building, you can go up, you can have the 18 feet anyway. You don't have to go up to the 25, but you can exceed the 16 feet to 18 if you'd like to. So that's another provision they let you do. Now, any questions on height or how that's going to be now used?
Got it in writing, so.
Good, okay. The next thing we talked about were definitions, and we ended up adding 5 new definitions, and we modified one. 2 of them came from the state. Those were those technical transit type definitions, the major transit stop and the high quality transit corridor. We added a number of other ones that just help clarify some things in the ordinance. We had one that talked about complete application, because if someone fills out an application and they said, I've completed this, that's a different type of complete than the technical term for complete for processing. And so I made the distinction between those two in a definition. Junior ADUs are now, well, we've modified that definition because they're allowed to now use a restroom that is within the house, not have their own. And then if they do that, then they also are supposed to be given access through the main door of the house, even though they still have to have their own private access. We talked about the transit corridor. The state added objective standards, or no, was that you? Or is that the state? Objective standards?
No, the state.
The state did that one, okay. And then permitting agency. We've added that, which means an entity that is involved in the review of a permit for an accessory dwelling unit or junior ADU, and for which there is no substitute, including but not limited to applicable planning departments, building departments, utilities, and special districts. So that got added to it as well. Owner occupied units, that provision has been extended now till at least January 1st of 2025. When the whole process started, there was a provision that required the owner to live either in the ADU or in the main house. Your council had opined on that early on, and it suggested that that not be a requirement for the city. So we had taken that out, but this is now something that the state has actually put in there. So we've added that, the date of January 1st, 2025. I mentioned already through the other item, issue of the garages not being used for conversion in multifamily. Talked about the shared restroom. Oh, here's an interesting one. Most front yard setbacks in the city are 20 feet, whether it's multifamily or single family. And most ADUs are in the rear yard. But with the state trying to keep pushing and pushing, they're now saying you can't have the 20-foot front yard setback if you're preventing someone from having an 800 square foot ADU. So if you have a wide lot and the house is on one side of the lot, you would not necessarily have the ADU in the back, it could be on the side. And what they're saying is that you can have the 4-foot setback for the rear and for the side, and then you can encroach as far as you need to be able to have that 800 square feet. So it means that the ADU would probably stick out more, or stick out past the single family home. So it's not a good idea, but again, it's the state throwing the stuff at us, so we have to change. There was a parking exemption that was in a prior state amendment that I didn't pick up on, and it's for car sharing. If they have a car share program within a block of the ADU, then they didn't have to have parking for themselves. And so we don't have that here, but at least I put it in there. So if we ever do, that could happen. Ordinance development costs. The state is allowing the city to charge ADU applicants an additional fee to cover administrative costs of updating our chapter. When we first started working on these, when I first started working on these in 2017, we had them processed as design reviews, and we were able to take in sufficient funds that it actually covered the amount of work that we were doing on these things. The state has since changed that and said you have to review them under the same provisions of a single family home, and you can't charge any more than you would for a single family home. And despite these things being smaller, they are more complicated. And I know Bill and I have spent a lot of hours working on these. And so the state is giving us the provision to collect fees beyond the single family permit if we want to. And so I don't know how we would do that. If it's just we get direction from them, just because it's not on the agenda, but we could bring something back with that item. Just let me know what you think.
The council can adopt it by a resolution at a later time.
Okay, so I would like to try to approach it that way and charge maybe an extra fixed fee that would help cover the costs of all of these updates that we've done, because we haven't been reimbursed for these in the past. One other thing is that they're making it clear that written comments have to be provided when we find that an application is defective. We've done that already. When an application is deemed incomplete, they get a letter that tells them all the specifics of what the problems are. And so we're already doing that, but that's now in there. They've made it clear that you need to have certificate of occupancy of the primary residence before you can get the COO for the ADU. And then another clarification is that in the past, we could hold up issuing a permit for an ADU or any other structure if there was a zoning violation on the property. Now they're saying no. If the ADU is not part of that violation and it's not associated with health and welfare, health, public health and safety issues, then the ADU can still get approved. So we're recommending approval of the first reading this evening and then continuing it to January 10th for a second reading on consent. So if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll sit down.
I'm glad this was a short version, so.
Yeah.
And, any questions from the council or staff? Now they'll open up the public hearing at 7:26. 26. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak on this matter? At 7:26. Close the public hearing. Back to the council.
old is you that?
And there's a request to adopt the resolution. Notice of exempt and sequel for ordinance number 22056 and introduced by title only and waive the first reading of ordinance number 22056, amending chapters 18.53 of the municipal code and to continue ordinance 22056 to January 10th, 2023 for second reading and adoption. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll motion. To. Everything you just said, 122, that's what we say this.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? And we'll have roll call, please. And normally on ordinances and resolutions, we do roll call. Amelia, please.
Councilmember Hernandez. Councilmember Costa Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Rhodes.
Aye.
Mayor Julian.
All right, resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Okay, same to you. Yeah. Okay. Now we'll go to regular business. Number item 17, appointment of two vacant seats for a 4-year term to the Recreation Commission, Park Commission. And Hannah's not here, so I assume you, Todd, or.
Yes. Yes, as you know, Mayor and Council, staff, public, there's 2 open seats on the Recreation and Parks Commission. And 2 individuals sent letters of interest for the vacant seats, Michael Menace and Trevor Lamberson. The 2 that are here, I would recommend that you appoint them to a 4-year term on the Recreation and Parks Commission, as there's 2 available and 2 have submitted.
Was there a deadline for the submission of these names?
You know, I actually don't.
Pardon?
There was a 30-day time frame. It was like early November
Okay, so 30 days and
from the time of posting.
and these are the 2 individuals that submitted the application. So. Any questions from the council?
Neither individuals present.
I don't see Michael or.
Oh, I see one.
Okay. You want to speak? Okay.
Hello. Hello, my name is Trevor Lamberson, and I've been in Guadalupe for about a year or 2. And I can say that being a part of the Park and Recreation is gonna be a big change because I love sports and I love seeing kids being active. And I want to be able to build this community bigger in a more active way. Because when I'm walking outside, I don't see a lot of people outside. And that kind of like tells me that people like to stay inside. But I want to see people outside and moving and being active. So I want to be a part of that.
Good. Thank you for
Thank you.
stepping up. Okay, so, good.
What do we need? Do we need to?
The recommendation to approve the 2 applicants to fill the position for a 4-year term. The Records and Parks Commission, the vacant seats. Joe, Mr. Harris, do you want to say anything? Or are you good?
Okay.
Okay.
What would the other person's name? Michael Jimenez.
Okay, so we have Mike Jimenez and Trevor Lamberson. Is there a motion to approve these 2 individuals
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2 vacant seats for one term to the Recreation Works Commission. Michael Jimenez and Trevor Lamberson.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Thank you. Okay. Number 18, city council vacancy. Mr. Bowman.
Another vacancy on council, as you recall, Councilmember Ramirez submitted a letter of resignation to the city clerk on October 25th. He specified the date of his resignation as November 29th. Because of the effective date of his resignation will occur approximately halfway through his 4-year term, whoever eventually fills this vacancy will serve until what would have been the final day of Councilmember Ramirez's term, which officially ends December 3rd, 2024. Whoever is appointed could run for election in 2024, and if he or she won, a new term of office would begin as of December 3, 2024. The city's staff provided notification to city residents by posting a notice on the city's website and the Royal Theater marquee, informing persons who may be interested in filling the remainder of the Councilmember Ramirez's term. The notice informed interested persons to submit a letter of interest, which asked for a description of their qualifications. City staff provided a deadline for all letters to be received on December 6, 2022 at 4 p.m., almost 30 days. The council may select from these applicants and invite some of them to be interviewed at a January 10th, 2023 meeting, where the council may make the appointment on January 10th, or it can continue its deliberation or selection process to the next meeting on January 2020 or January 24th, where it can make an appointment. Beyond that point, you'd have to go through an election process, which is very costly, and staff didn't recommend it. And I think at the last meeting you suggested you didn't want to go that route. So the city did receive 5 letters, one from Courtney, and I apologize if I cannot pronounce your last name. Maybe you. Kazanine, and then Justin Martin. Jesus Gomez has decided to drop out. So there's only 4, Clemente Marino and Megan Lizaldi. Those are the 4 that submitted their letter of interest. And also attached to this is some interview questions that was provided by the mayor and some of the council members. So with that, you can consider the selection of some or all interested city residents to interview in open session at the January 10th, 2023 city council meeting, where the council can select one of those persons to fill the remainder of Tony's seat. Continuous deliberation to the 24th, or reject all applicants and call for a special election to fill the vacancy. And one other caveat, I suppose you could pick one tonight if you decided you wanted to do that based on the letters of interest. That's the end of my report.
Okay, discussion in council? My feeling is that we've got four individuals that express an interest in this process, and I would ask those 4 to come to the next meeting. That's in January 10th. And also, there's a list of questions. Individuals don't have to go through these 15 questions, but I think the council should basically look at maybe 5 of these questions to ask, and we can select those at a later date to ask those candidates, but the candidates should be able to know basically the line of information that we're requesting. But my suggestion is to bring the 4 individuals to the council, give them 15 minutes or so to respond to about 5 questions that we may select. Discussion, council? What do we need from us, Bill? Just a consensus?
Yeah, that's fine. Yes,
Okay.
that's fine.
Yeah. Yes, I also would like to see the 4 come up and answer a few questions. Yeah, we've got 4 interested parties, and I'd love to hear them. And that would be January 10th, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
2023. So, and then we could look at 5 or so questions that we could pick. We don't But I think given the number we have there, it gives you an idea of what we're looking for. Or what should be sought in a council person, so. So we good with that, council? Good?
Yep.
Okay.
And I did get to read some of the letters, so they're letters of intent, so we've got a lot of energy out there.
Yes. It's good, and some good letters, and good responses to that. So we'll go to item 19, establish an eligibility list for commercial campus, business permit applicant, Mr. Bodum.
Okay, in the interest of time, this is a very lengthy staff report, but cut to the chase. The city council selected, two commercial cannabis businesses, to move forward through the CUP process. One was Slow Roots and the other was Element 7. So then there was a total of 5, so there's 3 remaining: Urban Joy, Mr. Nice Guy, and Roots Dispensary. And what Philip and I were talking about is putting together an eligibility list where those 3 could be put on that list. And if by chance one of those other 2 were to fall out, that you could go to that eligibility list and maybe start the process of an interview with them. Where am I going? Then there's also that we're going to be coming back at some point with ordinance updates to give a timeline by which each applicant must actually open the door with a key. And so we're working on that through an ordinance process that Philip is going to be putting together. So in the interest of time, we attached an eligibility list with some criteria. You want me to read those procedures that it basically provides, or would you just read the eligibility list?
We've seen the list, but maybe Christina probably spent hours looking at it. But I think we spend quite a bit of time on those 5. And then I think our point was to actually get to the timeline. Because we don't want to sit and wait, and then all of a sudden somebody drops off. And then we have these other 3 that are on a waiting list, so.
May I address that, Mr. Mayor?
So please.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the idea was to create the eligibility list along with that timeline, but as we were consulting with our consultant, HDL, we realized that the ordinance that it would require an ordinance change because there was it was not addressed in the ordinance and there was no way to do that. So we needed more time, but we decided there was no reason to delay action on the establishment of the eligibility list. The only other comment I want to make is in the city administrator report, I think there was some incorrect information about this. It indicated that the eligibility list would have rankings. We opted against that because the original rankings to get them into the interview, they all passed the minimum standard, and the council had at some point agreed that, they all passed, so there was no reason to rank them on that particular scoring. So that's I just wanted to make clarify that there was a mistake in the city administrator report on that issue. Thank you.
Okay, what do you need from us other than?
I think we need a motion on this one, unless I think it's a motion to approve the eligibility list and the policy procedures. Wait, let me look at the agenda.
Okay.
That would help. It's right there. Yes, my motion approved the proposed eligibility list policy and procedures document and the placing of the 3 commercial cannabis business permit applicants not selected as the prevailing candidates on the eligibility list, which are Mr. Nice Guy, Urban Joy, and the Roots Dispensary.
Is there a motion to that effect?
A motion to the effect of what Mr. Simple said.
Is there a second? There's a second, Ms. Hernandez. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Thank you, Bill.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, who's second? Christine.
Stepping right up.
Did you make a motion yet, or was it just a second? No, in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, what?
Yeah, that'll come around next meeting.
Yeah. Okay, item 20, transit update. Shannon.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is a transit update and it's for information, general discussion, and some input I could use in direction. Back in January of 2020, the city adopted the short range transit plan check public outreach and the evaluation of existing transit services. And you can find that document on the city's website. We put the recommendations of the short range transit plan into motion on July 1st of 2022. The changes included eliminating the existing on-demand shuttle service and creating 2 fixed routes. The first route is a local route. It runs every half hour through the city of Guadalupe. And the second route is an express route that runs hourly between the Amtrak station and the city of Santa Maria Transit Station. Both of those routes meet at the bottom of the hour at the Amtrak station. Originally, we offered free transfers between those 2 routes. We found that that was not very successful, and so we've made modifications to that. You can find more information at the Smooth Incorporated website. City's been working with Smooth, that's our contract transit operator, gathered data for the first few months of operation, both to make adjustments and to take a look at whether or not we made the right decision. So I've provided a table in the staff report, and we identify success as improved ridership without loss of revenue. And quite frankly, for the first few months, I was a little concerned because the numbers were actually quite bad. I guess it took people some time to get used to the new routes. But if you take a look at table 1, what you'll notice is for every demographic, the numbers start out weak and they get progressively stronger, to the point that by the time we reached to October, our farebox revenue went up 11% from pre-pandemic times. I compared them to 2019 because transit was weird during the pandemic. So we were up 11% since 2019, and our total ridership was up by 7%. So these are really the trends in really good directions. Gas was a lot more expensive this time, but that's because of the gas prices as compared to 2019. So I'm not too terribly concerned about the fact that those numbers are much higher. So it's kind of looking that we're heading in the right direction. I'll continue tracking these numbers to verify that we're still heading in the right direction. As I said, transfer tokens were originally offered so that people their cost wouldn't change just by going with the 2 routes. So people who were used to hopping on the bus and getting to Santa Maria for $1.50 could still do so by using the transfer token. The transfer token was quite abused, and so we've changed it to a day pass instead, and found that we had much improved farebox revenue by going to a day pass, and it seems to be well received. We started that on October 1st. So a day pass is offered for the cost of 2 rides. So for $3, you can ride the bus as many times as you wish during that day. We advertised it by posting signs on all buses and at the local bus stops in mid-September. We were very concerned in the beginning by the drop in bus use by seniors and the handicapped. The first thought was that the drop was due to the discontinuation of the shuttle, the on-demand door-to-door. However, the raw data shows the flyer was more regularly used than the shuttle by this demographic. We believe it's because seniors took the bus in order to get to Santa Maria for their doctor's appointments. And now that telemedicine is more popular, that could reduce the number of trips. Also, unfortunately, the senior demographic was most poorly hit by the pandemic and might be more likely to stay at home for fear of catching it. So we're thinking that as time goes on, the seniors maybe become more comfortable with taking the bus. And we are working with Los Angeles Guadalupe to encourage public transit use to the senior center for daily meals, hopefully encouraging them to use the transit program. So after the student ridership also decreased more than the general public, though not as significantly as by seniors and the handicapped. We'll continue to closely watch this demographic to see if it's just a matter of them needing to become accustomed to the new routes and schedule. So after the changes were implemented, we received some comments from the public, not quite as many as I had expected. Whenever you change something so dramatically, I really expected a lot of complaints, but you can see in the staff report, one complaint about the lack of bicycle storage. However, with the more frequent routes, bicycle storage is less of an issue than more. So we can accommodate 2 bicycles outside and 2 bicycles inside, and no bicycle rider has been turned away. So we don't see that as being a problem. One complained about having to wait 30 minutes unnecessarily when the express routes and local routes don't meet at the Amtrak station due to the delays. We found that communication between the two buses, which wasn't necessary when you only had one route. So it's just the bus drivers getting used to communicating with each other. And we found that has decreased that delay. One rider complained that passengers were forced to take two buses instead of one. But it's not physically possible. Our city's gotten too big to be able to accommodate all of the bus stops that are necessary within what is considered industry standard of 1 hour. So this is artifact of us growing that it needs to be 2 routes instead of 1. So but to address it, we initially provided transfer tokens, so it wouldn't cost more money. Now that we've changed to day passes, that seems to be successful. And then one rider did complain about the discontinuation of the shuttle. However, once she found that a local route now stops every half hour at a bus stop less than 1 block, she no longer needs to call in to reserve her ride. And she's satisfied now because she could just walk there and it avoids having to call in. Finally, a resident complained about the location of the new bus stop at West Main Street and Money's Court. The resident is requesting the bus stop be removed closer to the shopping center because its current location is causing trash buildup and destruction to the residents. This location is specifically located for its proximity to the school and the crosswalk, the prohibition of parking that already exists in that area, the limited impact visibility of vehicles, and the width of the city right away in that location. Staff has evaluated several options. There are photos corresponding with some of those options. And none of the other options seem to provide as good a location as the location where that stop is. We believe that in its current location that it serves the school well. It is as far away from houses as we can make it. And by moving it closer to the shopping center, it's going to take away traffic and make traffic difficult right at that location. I'm advocating for the stop staying where it is. However, I did mention to the resident that I would bring it to council. We have been monitoring it for trash and have not observed any unique buildup of trash there, nor have we seen any destruction to the site. So like I said, I'm advocating that it stay there, but I would welcome input on that option. I don't know if you want to weigh in now or you want me to finish.
No, keep going,
Okay.
keep going.
All right, the
Thank you.
second question that I have involves improvements to the Amtrak station. We received an ASIC grant, and part of that ASIC grant provides $494,000 to add a public restroom and 2 electric vehicle charging stations at the Amtrak site. We applied for funding through the Clean California Cycle 1 to make additional improvements, including paving, landscaping, and bicycle amenities, but we were unsuccessful in getting that grant. Applications for Cycle 2 are due mid-2023. We believe that applying for Cycle 2 will be more successful than applying for Cycle 1 for 2 reasons. Number one, when we applied for Cycle number 1, we had not received the ASIC grant yet. So we weren't able to promise that we could leverage those funds. Now that we've received them, we can say for certain we have funds to leverage to meet match for the project. The second reason why I believe that it would be more successful is because a lot more people spend time at the Amtrak station, and we have counts because now it's being used as a multimodal hub, not just for Amtrak riders, but for bus riders as well. There are a lot of people at the bottom of the hour at that bus stop, including me. I ride the bus. Okay, so the question is, would council prefer implementing fewer improvements, just moving forward with the bathroom and the electric charging stations sooner? Or do you feel comfortable waiting and trying again for Cycle 2 of the Clean California grant so that we can leverage those funds for additional improvements? I really envision that site serving more of the multimodal purpose. It was built just for the train. So when people are waiting for the bus, it's not as convenient. They're sitting on the curb or on the caboose. We've added a bench out front, but there are times when there might be, half a dozen to a dozen people waiting to pick up that bus. I'd like to wait, and we have the luxury of doing so with that ASIC grant. but I would like council's input on that decision. That concludes my report, and I'm open to questions and hoping for input.
Questions from the council? I had a question regarding, first of all, is there any questions from the council? And that was, you're recommending on page 3, on waiting on the grant. Or waiting to submit later.
I would like to take a second shot at that Clean California grant.
Yeah.
Because I would like to add more improvements. However, that site really does need a restroom. I wish I could have both, but if I were to choose one over the other, I would really like to leverage those funds and make additional improvements.
I would support that. Yeah. Council?
We're gonna try for the grant.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
I'd support that.
I would support that too. We see our youth and our families now waiting at that bus, so we want to make sure that
It's
it's
quite a bit. of
clean
people.
enough to.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you, I appreciate that. My only other decision that I need is everybody comfortable with leaving the West Main and Montes bus stop where it is?
You know, go ahead.
I don't see a problem with it if you're not getting, what, was it one complaint? Or-
It's the adjacent house.
Because, I mean, it serves, it's a good location for the children across the street also, so. And like you say, it probably eases up on the Main Street Shopping Center. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather leave that one right there. I understand the residents complaining, but you got junior high kids who go, and I see a handful of people here and there sitting there waiting for the bus that are older and don't see them leaving their garbage. It's mainly the students leaving school, going to the shopping center, buy stuff, and then walking home, who are, and there's a trash can that's right by the crosswalk. I see it every morning, so I'd rather leave that one where it's at. It's a good location. It's in between, you know, where it's at, so yeah.
Any comments? Yeah,
The visibility is great on that.
yeah, it's a long shot and you can see everything, so. I'm good with where it's at. This is an excellent report, by the way.
Thank you. And I'm excited. I'm really an advocate for transit, really excited that council supported us making these improvements. Happy to see more people on the bus, and I appreciate the input. Thank you.
You just needed our direction. You good, okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right, item 21, future agenda items. Anybody want to add to that? And you can at any time when you, almost at any time. We're good. Announcements, council activity reports. Gilbert, anything?
Yeah, we did have, was it last first Thursday, we did have a food distribution, but we were kind of short, but we made it work. We only had I believe a 3 pallet drop off, but we worked on it, so.
To that vein, what happened is that food bank had employees that were sick. That were unable to go and pick up material. Normally we get about 10 pallets, sometimes more, but this time we only got 3 pallets. And thanks to Los Amigos de Guadalupe, who had extra food, we actually combined that with the regular food drop off, so. Anything else? Gene?
The Dune Center will be partnering up with UCSB, but in Larkbed, and will be presenting 5 free community concerts in the city of Guadalupe. Our first one, I believe, is January 15th, not next week, there, Bobby. And we've also made a video appearance with Camila Cabello, which is really exciting to have them in Guadalupe.
Is that gonna be here? You, okay, good. I have a really quick, I have a list here, I don't know if staff on it, but there's quite a bit that's going on. Santa Barbara County Association of Governments, SBCAG, we will be meeting this Thursday at 10 o'clock. Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District, APCD, will be meeting at 1 o'clock that same day at the Government Center in Santa Maria. Calvans is part of SBCAG, which we are a member. And Calvans, we met via Zoom on the 8th of December. Calvans has money from the state. They got their fund balance is $29 million. They provide Calvans. If you've seen the Calvans vans, the 15 passenger vans in California, there's 423 ag related businesses, and there's 98 that are non-ag. So if a company that made the widgets wanted to actually lease one of these vehicles, they could. Santa Barbara County has 44 vehicles, and you'll see a couple down on Pioneer Street when it's busy. Guadalupe Senior and Community Center, there's an advisory committee. We talked about that before, but that committee is going to restart. There's a 15-member committee which has they're nonprofit organizations. City of Guadalupe is on it, at large representation. And the meeting, we've been meeting with Las Amigos de Guadalupe and city to establish a working relationship. We are part of, the city is part of Central Coast Community Energy, 3C Energy. There's a meeting tomorrow that I'm not going to make, but we are still part of that. And we share the responsibility with Solvang, the city of Solvang, as co-seats. And Santa Barbara County Food Bank, as Gilbert mentioned, there was 191 participants that actually drove in and walked up and received food, and there's 21 home deliveries for a total of 212 participants being served. Those numbers serve as how much food we're going to get for the next food bank, which will be January 6th or 7th. And it's operated by the city of Guadalupe and volunteers. And food bank on the 23rd of December, there's going to be volunteers are needed at food bank to start putting together packages for distribution North County wide, and that's at their food bank on location at Foster Road. That's at 10 a.m. So if anybody wants to help put food together and baggage them and box them, they're more than welcome. You just have to show up at 10 o'clock. That's all I had. Staff, anything? No. Okay, we need to adjourn to closed session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Almost to adjourn the closed session.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those